Hello there and welcome to another episode of Practical Wisdom. I'm your host Ihab, the author of The Art of Being You, and today we want to talk about responsibility. The power of responsibility and why responsibility is the key, is the absolute key for the process of empowerment. Why responsibility is the first step in the path of your power, in the hero's journey, in that authentic journey of expansion and purpose, and really living your most authentic, most genuine self. So, before diving deep into the idea of responsibility, just let me share with you a story. Small story happened with me last week. Last week I was coaching a girl. She's brilliant, fantastic girl, and she has that passion. See, when she talks about her message and her passion in terms of liberating people from suffering, liberating people from the heaviness of the need to do something, the conditioned mind, I can feel her light up. I can see her fire, I can see her light. Yet, she's doing something completely different than her passion. And when we start digging deep in it, it's like, what is the core beliefs, core limitation, core things in her psyche that's stopping her to approach that journey? And she was start telling me that it's all about her parents and how her parents is not like, they don't approve her journey and how they're making her feel guilty, and so on and so forth. And by digging deep into that emotion, because I didn't buy that story as a coach, I should not buy the story, and I should keep my eyes on the greatness of the person. So we dig deep into the core of that story, and what we realized, that she thinks that the sense of guilt, it's because of her parents. And in order to overcome that sense of guilt and be able to pursue her passion, she needs to change her parents, or not changing her parents, I mean changing the views of her parents. Now, that might sound a noble thing at the external level, like, yeah, she wants to change the ideas of her parents so she can pursue her passion. But in reality, this is some kind of a victim pattern. By allowing your parents to make you feel a certain way and saying, you know what, I don't have power over that. My parents are making me feel guilty, and that's it. And isn't it that the same in what we're doing in our life? The government is causing me to feel that way. My friends are causing me to feel that way. This is causing me to feel that way. That is causing me to feel that way. Isn't it that the way we feel our life? Isn't it that the way we approach our life? That there is something always external that's causing us to feel in a certain way. And what I really did with that girl, just allowed her to see that sense of guilt, eventually, it's because of a pattern of thinking you have, that I cannot pursue my happiness unless my parents accept that. And that's not to blame. That's not to say, you know what, it's your fault. Actually, that's the only place you can be powerful at. Because if the only way to change things is from outside in, like something has to change outside in order for me to do what I want to do, in order for me to feel in a certain way, man, you're slaved. You're a slave to the influences out of you. And you're saying, you know what? I outsource my power to how people think and feel, and according to that, I will think and feel. But this video is to remind you of your power, and to remind you that in order to stand in that power again, you need to take responsibility for the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, the results you're getting into your life, whether it's good or bad, both sides. And the moment you start doing that, and this is a constant practice in life, that's where you start living the hero's journey. That's where you start awakening what I love to call your highest possible expression in life and business. That's where you become a change maker. And that's what Gandhi understood. That's what Nelson Mandela understood. That's what Martin Luther King understood. All those great leaders, they understood the power of taking responsibility. And even in the most unjust situation, even when they experienced the deepest level of a human injustice, they didn't blame people for it. They didn't say this is the enemy. They took responsibility for that pain, and they took the time to process it and to transform that pain through a process of alchemy into purpose, into compassion, into a vision that they were able to lead millions of people from that place of responsibility. So with that, I got 3 tips for you to start practicing more the idea of responsibility, as we said, to become a change maker and to get a better results in your life. The first tip, start embracing a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. Now, let me explain more what I mean in the idea of growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. See, in positive psychology, or in psychology in general, they have those 2 terms, growth and fixed mindset. And what that simply means, growth mindset, it means you're fluid, you're constantly changing in order to get the results you want. You're constantly changing your attitude, your mindset, the way you approach things, rather than the idea of being fixed. Now, this is not something you're born with. It's not like your nature, your fixed mindset or a growth mindset. No, we can always shift towards growth mindset. See, I lived all my life in the past. The first 24 years of my life, it was all about fixed mindset. And then when I started reading and starting my journey of awakening, growth and healing, that's where I started growing. And to start going into a journey of growth mindset, you need to embrace more responsibility, because you can't grow in something you don't have the power to change. And in order to change anything, as we said, you need to start by taking 100% responsibility, meaning everything that's happening outside, you are the creator of it. And again, this is not a call to blame. This is a call to get you back into power, to realize that it's all about your attitude. If things are happening and you don't like, just remember, there is a way of thinking in you that exhausted itself, that's now it's creating struggles and a problem. And by taking responsibility for this way of thinking, it means you can change it and tweak it. And that's the journey of growth. Constantly dropping certain patterns, certain habits that doesn't serve you, and embracing new ones. The second tip I have for you, be less attached to the idea of right and wrong and more inclined to the idea of happiness and suffering. Let me explain that. Most people, they think of things in terms of right and wrong, right and wrong. Usually that's how the ego sees things. I want you to take a step back and start assessing your mental thoughts, your patterns of thought, in terms of, is that pattern creating happiness for me? And by definition, it will create happiness for others? Or it's creating suffering for me, and by definition, it means you're excluding suffering for others. Now, what's the difference in that? The difference is this: once you assess your thoughts upon the idea of right and wrong, most of what we consider right, it creates suffering. But we say it's right because that's how we've been habituated through culture to think of things that this is right. Now, how that relates to the idea of responsibility? If you're less inclined to the idea of right and wrong, it means you're more willing to take responsibility and go towards happiness. But if you only, and that's unfortunately how most people are living, seeing life through right and wrong, you won't take responsibility for anything, because it will be just me right and everyone is wrong, and they have to change and not me. But if you start again assessing your thoughts in the term of happiness and suffering, it's not personal anymore, and you can drop things and you can change them. The third tip I have for you in terms of taking more responsibility, and it might sound a bit woo, a bit out there, and it's the following. Love yourself enough to feel that you deserve to be happy. Love yourself enough to feel you deserve to live in purpose. Love yourself enough to realize that you don't need to tolerate suffering. And by doing that, you will naturally start taking responsibility. Because when you love yourself enough, it means, you know what, I don't want to suffer. And if I don't want to suffer, it means I will take responsibility for my ways of thinking. I will take responsibility as a creator for my reality. And I will drop any thoughts, any relationships. I will change internally anything that doesn't serve me. And I will work always from inside out, as in psychology call it intrinsic way of living rather than extrinsic way of living. Rather than being triggered from outside in and trying to change outside, you're always working from inside out. And that's where the right action will start to merge. The right things will start to merge, and you start to see where you need to do an honest connection or honest communication, where you need to do that action, or where you need to sit in silence. So those were my 3 tips for today about the idea of just taking more responsibility in life. So to recap, number 1, start embracing more growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. And number 2, start being more attached to the idea of happiness and suffering rather than to the idea of right and wrong. And number 3, love yourself enough. Practice self-love in order to choose responsibility over victimhood. So, if you like this video, as always, press in the like button and share it with anyone you think that might find it interesting, that might benefit them to take just a bit more responsibility in their life so they can stand back into their power and they can change their life for better. Till I see you next time, I want you to go to the world and, as always, unleash your highest possible expression. And thank you. Hey guys, it's Ihab. If you like this video and you enjoy this kind of material, there are 2 things you can do right now. First, to subscribe to the YouTube channel here, and also to visit ihabhamad.com to sign up for the newsletter there. So you can keep yourself updated with the free material about the soul of speaking, leadership, high performance, and just life mastery in general. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Till then, just go and have a great day. Thank you.